Hey everyone, Chris of Midlife Crisis Media here. Welcome to recent pickups number 81. Everything I've added to my physical media collection in the way of movies, video games, and pretty much anything else that I collect during the month of September 2023. It's going to be a pretty short stream today due to August being so big when it comes to the amount of things that I did. I kept September pretty light. I never actually went out looking for anything in the way of video games. A couple of times I went out looking for specific movie things, but I didn't really go out of my way to do anything. A lot of pre-orders came in and stuff like that in the way of both movies and video games. I'm always pre-ordering movies off of Amazon, usually because it's way cheaper than getting them at the store, but certain stores get certain special editions. So I tend to try to go after them if I can. And I did. I broke one of the rules I set for myself regarding a certain store. But other than that, and I actually do have quite a bit of, well, not a huge amount, but a number of things to talk about in the way of just random ass other things that I've added to the collection. So let's get into it. First things first, let me wet the old whistle here. Alrighty then, let's go. So my birthday was last month, but sadly, because I got sick, like really, really sick, I had one of the worst flus I've ever had. It was pretty bad. Lasted for about 3 days, and I ended up like not getting together with a lot of my friends like I normally would for my birthday. Normally I have like a little get together, a couple of like 4 friends and I usually go out and see a movie and then have dinner and then play like board games and card games all night. Didn't happen this year. So last night was the night where we kind of all got together and we went and saw The Creator and went out to dinner and had a lot of fun playing board games and stuff. So last night was like the gift exchange, I guess is the term. So a couple of my friends go to Gen Con every year. The way that I go to Midwest Gaming Classic every year, it's the same way that these two go to Gen Con every year. So there's certain things you can have done there or do there or find there that they end up like trying to do for me, since I don't go that much anymore or at all. I really can't afford to go because it is kind of an expensive convention to go to. The hotel prices are beyond insane. Like, I don't want to pay $1,000 for a hotel room for like 4 days. Like, no. So they picked up a couple of things for me while they were there. One of them was, I don't know if anyone plays the card game Boss Monster, which is like a video game based. It's not based on a video game particularly. It is like you are playing a video game in card form. And there's been 2 versions of it. I do believe the original, and no, I do have both. But the thing is, like, there's promo cards that the creators of the game usually have at the convention, and they picked me up the Happy Birthday card for Boss Monster. What's up, Game Room? I am doing good. How are you? This card, this room has +3, I think that says. +3 if your boss has leveled up. So basically you're playing as the big boss for a video game, and people are building a dungeon to get to you. And it's really fun. I really like it a lot. It's really clever and has a lot of really fun video game references. So they picked that promo up for me to add to the deck. And also, you could have cards made, like custom cards made for the game. And as a funny gift, they had these made. Only problem was they had started the process on these before I did the brand change. So these are old ass retro gamer. You can see it on my shirt, and it even says the name, old ass retro gamer. And I'm supposed to like they got me a bunch of them. Like, I have a handful, and I'm supposed to hand these out to people that have the game, that I know that have the game, so they can add them to their decks. So that's kind of funny that they had that made. I was really like surprised when I saw that. I was like, God damn, that's awesome. And they also picked this up, and I'm going to use this during our Dungeons and Dragons streams, one of which is happening next Saturday. They know that I use like battle tiles that Dungeons and Dragons, the Wizards of the Coast, have made when I'm doing a fight. It's so that there's a battlefield for the little figurines to play on. They bought me this little book of battle maps, which basically you open it up and it has the grids on it for different backgrounds and stuff. A second. So you got a standard one there. You got one that's like out in the desert. You got one that's on a bridge, with water, stuff like that. So like I basically just lay this down and I have an instant battlefield, which I thought was really cool. I like it a lot. There's a couple in here that are really rad. I got to find ways to use some of these. Where's the one that I really liked? This one. This like bridge over lava. So if you watch my D&D streams, you might see this pop up if we have like a really quick fight. And the cool thing is, all these pages are laminated in a certain way that you can use dry erase markers on them, which I probably won't be doing. But that is rad as hell that they picked that up, because that's very helpful for me. And then there's this thing you might be seeing behind me that's turning all these different colors really slowly. That's Tron Legacy themed. My other group of friends got me that off of Etsy for my birthday, and it even comes with a remote. And I can change the color that it flashes, the rate of flashing, the way it changes colors, and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty cool. I was really surprised that they found this. I'm like, you guys are going to make me step up my gift giving game for birthdays, because when it comes to me, I don't know what everybody wants or needs. So I usually just buy like a gift card. And then I got all this cool stuff from them, and I'm like, great, okay, I'm gonna have to start really thinking about it now, because you guys are making me look bad, which is good, because that's actually kind of fun, searching around looking for things. But that's awesome. I really like this Tron Legacy display. I think that's really rad. Etsy you can find some really cool stuff on Etsy. And then Jason of Corpse Flood Gaming asked me and Church, the game grinder, if we're at a Target for any reason, to go to the toy sections and look for Marvel. Like, I guess they're having like a toy clearance sale, like nationwide. And I kept on seeing posts online of people finding toys and stuff on super clearance at Targets. And he's like, I don't have a Target near me. The nearest Target, I guess, is in Thunder Bay or whatever, which is like a 4-hour drive for him. Leave me alone. Who texted me? Oh, it's my D&D group. So, like, yeah, the nearest Target to him is like 4 hours away. And he's like, if you guys are in a Target, can you look for some Marvel toys or Transformers toys or G.I. Joe toys or whatever kind of stuff he was looking for? And I happened to be at a couple Targets during the week, and I did pick up a few things for him. But I also found some stuff for me. And I don't collect toys. I don't. It's something that I used to do, but I do not want to do anymore because it's a rabbit hole I do not want to go down because it can get bad. And it used to be bad. I used to just have toys everywhere in my old place. It was, I mean, everywhere you looked, it was just toys. I didn't have room for all of them on top of collecting movies and on top of collecting video games. So it's not something I really want to get into. But if it's something that I really, really like, I will usually go out of my way to do so and pick something up. I don't know if I intend to open these or not because the packaging is super freaking cool, but you can't even see the figures inside of them, which are kind of shitty. But anyway, for the 40th anniversary of the cartoon Dungeons and Dragons, Hasbro, who owns the license to Dungeons and Dragons, now decided to release these figures based on the old Dungeons and Dragons cartoon that was on in the early 80s. So I picked up a Sheila figure, and Sheila is the rogue from the cartoon. She's the one who has the cloak that makes her invisible so she can sneak around. And I really like the packaging for this a lot. And there's the back. And there's two more figures in this wave, and that is Eric, who is technically a paladin, but in the cartoon they call him a cavalier. I don't think they wanted to have like some sort of like a religious aspect to the character for the cartoon, so they changed it to cavalier. But the character is like the a-hole of the group. And then Presto, who is the wizard. So I was really super stoked to see these at a Target of all places and in really good shape. So I picked up the Sheila. Put you here. And I also picked up Eric, the a-hole. This is the whiny character that's always getting the main character. Stop texting me! Turn you off. Sorry about that. He's the guy that's always getting everyone in trouble in the cartoon because he's an arrogant POS. So he comes with a shield. And the cool thing is each one of these comes with another type of die. So you can see Sheila comes with a 6-sided die in there branded for the cartoon. And Eric here comes with a 10-sided die as well, which is pretty awesome. I also have another character coming in the mail that probably won't get here until mid next week. That's a huge set. So we'll see how that goes. I'll talk about that next month. But the thing is, I should have known better. So I got those at Target. I've also seen other characters on sale at Barnes & Noble. So I knew this character existed. I could have just gone to Barnes & Noble and bought him, but I decided to get it off of Amazon, and I completely regret it now because it showed up completely trashed. Amazon, I am starting to really dislike the way they ship things. They just don't care. I have one thing here I'm going to talk about a little bit later, which came in it's a huge package, and they shipped it in essentially a grocery bag, like a plastic grocery bag. And there's no wonder it got all banged up. So I actually started a return. They're going to send me a brand new one, and I requested that they ship it inside of a box this time. And I'm returning this one as well because it is completely trashed. Why would they expect anybody to want something in this condition? I don't know. But they just don't give a crap. So I bought the Presto character, who is the wizard, and he comes with a D4 die. And he has a couple of effects, like his hat comes off, and he comes with a couple of wizardly effects and all that. And this other hat that he puts on from the cartoon, which is pretty rad. But if you look, you can see it on the back. You see that fold? This whole thing is bent inward. And also up here, if you can catch the light right, it is. You can see where it's folded up here too. I'm like, and it's even on the package right here. It's like bent and crushed a little bit. I'm like, no. So I'm returning this, getting my money back, and I'm going over to that Barnes & Noble just to buy it again. So technically I'm not keeping this, but I will get the figure again. So I won't talk about it next month. So that's going back tomorrow. Anyway, so now we can get into the movies. And like I said, it's going to be a short stream. I don't have a whole lot here to talk about. I kept it pretty light this month. So we'll start with the Blu-rays, and they are 2 giant box sets, and one of them is the one that I got pissed off at Amazon about. So the first one is the complete series. Okay, so I talked about it last month when I showed off that I had bought the Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 1, the complete Season 1 of Strange New Worlds on 4K. And I expected people to be like, well, it's on streaming. Why did you buy it if you can just stream it anytime you want? I'm starting to get sick of streaming services, especially when it comes to what's going on with the strikes over here with the WGA and the Actors Guild, where they don't want to pay residuals for streaming stuff. And plus, they're spending all this money that they're never going to recoup for all these shows because the streaming model just does not work. So I don't foresee these streaming services being around forever. So I want to get the things that are streaming that I probably won't be able to watch once I get rid of said streaming services. I've already gotten rid of 2. I got rid of Netflix and I got rid of Hulu. I still have Paramount Plus, which I pay for. I still pay for Amazon Prime. I have my mom's HBO, or sorry, it's not HBO anymore. It's just Max now. I have my mom's I just did it again. My mom's Max account code and my brother's Peacock code. So I've been buying all of these like shows because I know in Disney Plus, I don't plan on keeping them for very long. So I ended up buying the complete set of Star Trek Enterprise, all 4 seasons in one. And I do believe this was supposed to come in some sort of overly, like a cardboard slip cover, but all the pictures that I saw online, like the supposed box art or the suggested box art had like a slip cover over it. But when I did a search on Amazon to see what people were selling when it came to this set, if theirs came with a slip, and none of them did, so I'm assuming it just came like this, so I'm okay with it. Otherwise, I would have returned it also because I'm kind of OCD about that. But yeah, all 4 seasons of Enterprise. Not my favorite Star Trek, but this one was actually filmed in widescreen. I don't think it was filmed in HD. HD wasn't really a thing in the early 2000s. But it was filmed in widescreen, and I think they can just do a real simple remaster. So yeah, all 4 seasons. The first 2 seasons, I guess, are okay. They're kind of fun, but they have their crappy episodes here and there. Season 3, which is the Xindi season, which deals with those enemies exclusively. I liked it a lot when it was being broadcast weekly. I thought it was a really cool concept. I liked the different like races of Xindi. There's an aquatic one, an arboreal one, a humanoid one, an insectoid one, and there used to be an avian one, but they all died out, and that's why they've become bad, because they're just trying to protect their species. And they basically like sent a probe to Earth, and it like destroyed Florida. They're trying to start a war with us, and then the whole season of season 3 is the Enterprise going into Xindi space and trying to find out why they attacked us and stop them from doing it again. But when you binge it, like I did when it was on Netflix a few years back, it is the most long and drawn out storyline you've ever seen in your life. There are so many filler episodes. The season should have been over in like 8 episodes max, but they made it last for like 24. And it is so long and boring and pointless. I was like, you know what? I don't care anymore. Season 4 is the season I really like, because that's where they start to try to tie in Enterprise to the original series and try to set up continuity. But I really like that one. I don't like the season opener, which was like a continuation of a cliffhanger from the end of season 3. But like once they do like an episode that goes into the mirror universe with the characters and ties into an old episode of the original series. They do a whole thing about the eugenics wars, which ties into Khan later on. And even Peter Weller shows up for like the big finale episode where he's like a bad guy that lives on, I think it was the moon or Mars. I can't remember. but it also does have the worst series finale of all time. It is like insulting. And a lot of the cast members called them out on, like, that's what you came up with to end our show? That's pathetic. And it is. It's pretty sad. But it's a decent show. I like it enough to want to buy it. I would not buy a Voyager set on Blu-ray because I do not like Voyager. But Enterprise I was willing to buy. And plus, it wasn't super expensive. Yeah, titles are so fractured over so many different streaming services now. It makes it hard to find titles you like to watch cheaply. And plus, they look better on home video. Every time you watch something on streaming, it's like compressed. So even though I might have had the 4K package for Netflix, it didn't look as good as it would look if I was watching it off of a physical media disc because it still has to go through the internet and then be interpolated on your TV and all that. So you're getting all this streaming artifacts, and it's never as clear and crisp as it should be. It's better to just watch it at home. So even though I might be watching a movie that was made for one of these streaming services, if it comes out on home video, I'm buying it because I'd rather watch it that way anyway. Other one I bought, this is the one that I'm returning, and they're sending a replacement, is I've been trying to get the individual seasons of this over the years, but for some reason, I want to say they started coming out maybe 10 years ago, but the individual releases like all of a sudden just disappeared. Like you can't find them anywhere. And they're super expensive online. So I had the first 4 seasons of this show on Blu-ray. They were remastered in HD from what they used to be because they were shot for standard definition. Obviously, this was a show that had started in the late 80s. And HD was never in mind, but they had all the individual film elements of these episodes, so they were able to remaster them for HD. And they did a great job, but for some reason, like, they were releasing the seasons individually over the course of a couple of years, and then a couple of years after that, like, they just, like, disappeared. Nobody had them for sale anymore. They're expensive online. I was finding them all at, like, half-price books and other secondhand retailers. Nobody has them anymore. I don't know if they just, like, people are just keeping them and not selling them off, or I think they just got discontinued, and then they released this big box set that has everything in it, and it's really expensive, but they finally dropped the price on it enough to make me want to buy it. So I did, but like I said, Amazon shipped this to me in a grocery bag, like a plastic grocery bag. And there's no reason to do something like that when you see how big this is. And that is the Star Trek The Next Generation Complete Series Blu-ray set. And it has 2 gigantic packages, just like that Enterprise packaging. It has 2 of those in there because there's 7 seasons of this show. But as you can see, the corners are all crushed. And there are crushes all along the spines and everything. And it's like, why would you ship something this heavy and this? I mean, there's so much to destroy. I mean, all up here, it is all crushed. Why would you ship something like this in a plastic bag and not a box? So I set up a return today, and I'm like, I want you to ship it to me in a box that's padded because this is ridiculous. And they're like, yeah, we'll do it. The weird thing was the person I was talking to from customer service in the chat kind of insinuated that I was being an asshole. So the way I worded it was, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm like, this is in reference to this order number, which is when I ordered this. And I'm like, I initiated a return for this order number. And it was shipped. And the reason I'm returning it is because it was shipped to me in a plastic bag, and it got completely destroyed. Like I said, didn't say destroyed, just damaged in shipping. So I've initiated an exchange for the same product. I would like to request, operative word, request, that when you ship me the replacement, it comes in a padded box instead of a bag. And the person I was talking to was like, hang on, let me do something. And they worked on it for like, I don't know, 5 minutes or whatever. And they come back and they're like, yes, we will ship it to you in a box like you demanded. I'm like, I didn't demand anything. I requested that you do that. I didn't demand anything. I'm like, stop acting like I'm being an a-hole. I was like, I was really polite about it, even though I shouldn't be, because the amount of things I've gotten from you guys that are completely destroyed like this, and I never sent back, but I'm doing them for this because this is one of my favorite things in the world. I want it to look nice. But like I said, it's got all 7 seasons in it, and it also has a lot of extra features that weren't, I guess, on the individual releases. So there's some extra bonus content down here. Reunification 25 years after Star Trek The Next Generation retrospective, Star Trek The Next Generation inside the writer's room, and more. So one of my favorite, if not, this is not my favorite Star Trek. Deep Space Nine is definitely my favorite. but had to get the Next Generation because it's my second favorite. And I watch them all the time. I mean, I love Star Trek The Next Generation so much, I wrote a script sequel to the last movie that they made, Nemesis. That's how much I like it. So to continue the whole streaming television thing, Disney decided to get on the bandwagon, get off their butt, and they're starting to release their streaming television shows. Netflix has been doing it since, I think, Stranger Things started in Orange is the New Black. Like 3 or 4 months after a season premieres on Netflix, it's available on home video. They knew that there's people out there that don't have their service that want to watch these shows, so they released them on physical media, which is awesome. Disney and all the other ones, Paramount's the only other one that does that. Disney's finally gotten on the bandwagon, and they're starting to release their shows. The Mandalorian's coming out. Season 1 and 2 are coming out in December. I think in October, we're getting WandaVision Season 1. But because of the new season of this show beginning, I think, this month, they released the first season of Loki on home video. And this is the collector's edition. It's a steelbook of the whole first season, and it's pretty awesome looking. I love that artwork that has all the different colors of the Infinity Gauntlet on it somewhere. If you watch these episodes back to back, you'll notice that every episode has a color theme to it, and each episode is representative of one of the Infinity Stones, which I thought was really, really cool. I really like this show. I thought it was really interesting. It really takes the Loki character in a different direction. He meets a whole bunch of variant versions of himself from other realities in the multiverse, and this is all about the multiverse, and it introduced Kang, the Conqueror, who was the bad guy in Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, and is going to be the big bad for Phase 5 and 6 of the Marvel universe, or the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and all that. Introduced Jonathan Majors as Kang. I don't know if he's going to keep playing him, but apparently he's still in Season 2, so has a lot of extras on it, and I'm really super stoked to sit down and watch this again. And then the other one that I bought that is a TV show from a streaming service is I decided to check out Best Buy again. I know I complained about them a couple of times, how they basically jacked up the prices of the new release, 4Ks and everything. And if you want to get the regular price that you would probably be paying at like a Target or whatever, or on Amazon, you had to sign up for, what was it, Best Buy Plus or something like that. And so you have to pay an annual fee just to get the lower prices. So they jacked up, so a normal average price in the US for a brand new 4K is $29.99. Now they've jacked them all up to $34.99. But if you want to get the $29.99 price, you have to sign up for this Best Buy Plus program or whatever it's called, and pay like an annual fee of like $100. No, I'll just get it off of Amazon, which is what I've been doing. But they have some exclusive variants of certain movies there. So I decided to check them out to see if they actually had those variants. And while I was there, I saw this on sale. So I picked up the first season of The Last of Us. So very video game related, obviously, based on the Naughty Dog game series. And this is one of the single most accurate representations of a video game in a film project of any type, as far as I'm concerned. It is like, there are changes made to this in order to make it work as a TV show, but the story of the two characters and a lot of the things that they go through are verbatim from the video game. They even added on the DLC as a separate episode. What is it called? Lost? No. I can't remember what it was called. It was just on the tip of my tongue, and I just lost it. Whatever. There was a DLC that they added on where you're playing as Ellie and like her best friend, and you go on like a separate mission that happens before the actual core game begins. Left Behind. That's what it was called, Left Behind. They made an entire episode about that, which was absolutely fantastic. This is a great show. Great characters. The actors are, while at first might seem kind of strange, but they are perfectly cast. You got Pedro Pascal, internet's daddy, playing Joel. And you got Bella Thorne? No, not Bella Thorne. Bella Ramsey, who was on Game of Thrones playing Ellie. And it's like perfect casting. They work so well together, and you get the exact same relationship from the these actors as you do from the game, and it's great. And I love the first episode, which is essentially like the first 20 minutes of the game, just extended to a full hour-long episode. It is absolutely fantastic. I love this show, so I felt the need to buy it for myself. I could watch that multiple times. So now we're going to get into the movies. I'll do the ones that are repurchases, an upgrade from the Blu-ray version of a movie that I now have on 4K. We'll do those first, starting off with Ghoulies in 4K. So you remember last month I had the Swamp Thing 4K, and it's from MVD, and they're doing this whole laser vision collection for their 4Ks. When it came to their Blu-rays, they were basing the box art off of like VHS artwork. Now they're doing the laser vision style artwork, which was a failed media style or media type from the 80s that really sucked. It was basically like a record inside of like this hard plastic shell, and you had to insert the entire shell into a machine, and you would hear like a click, and then you would pull that shell out, and it would like deposit the record inside the machine, and the record would start spinning like a laser disc, and it would get red. It looked like VHS on like a record. It was horrible. The resort that we used to go to when I was a little kid, we used to go to this one in Michigan, I think it was called Sunnybrook Farm. They had a laser vision player in like their media area where you could like watch movies and stuff. And I ended up breaking it because there were like these tabs on the side that would catch when you put the laser vision case inside the machine to deposit the record. There were these little tabs on the front of it that would catch and let go of the record, and then you could pull the case out and deposit the record inside. Well, I broke one of those tabs off by dropping the case when I pulled it out the first time. We were watching Kroll, and I dropped and I broke that off, and we couldn't get the record or the laser disc, the record thing out of the machine because the tab couldn't grab it anymore. So I essentially broke their whole machine. And I was like, I'm sorry, but like I dropped this and it broke the tab off. I don't know what to do. So I never heard anything after that. So yeah, but they're basing the artwork off of the artwork you would normally get on one of those laser discs or laser vision cases. And I noticed it. I didn't notice it on the Swamp Thing release, but this one, you really can see it, that it looks like the artwork, like the glued down artwork on the laser vision disc cover has like pulled up a little bit. You can see like all these wrinkles on the cover, and a lot of the laser disc or laser vision cases looked just like that because the artwork, I don't know what glue they used to glue it down, but it just never really worked completely, or they didn't smooth it down properly, because every one of them that I saw at that Sunnybrook Farm had that kind of bubbling going on underneath the surface. So this is kind of funny that they went to that kind of level of detail. But Ghoulies is a movie made by Charles Band. Now he runs Full Moon Features. But this was during the original, like the previous company he owned, Empire Pictures. They were making like really cheap movies to release theatrically. This is the movie that made them. They made this movie dirt cheap. I think it was like a few $100,000, and it was essentially made as sort of like a ripoff of Gremlins, but it wasn't intentionally made like that. They were like, oh, look, well, Charles Band has a fixation for little tiny creatures. We got the Puppet Master movies, Subspecies, Demonic Toys, Blood Dolls, all that kind of stuff. He loves tiny little toy-sized creatures attacking people movies. So he had the idea for this a long time ago. He just never had the budget to make it. And finally, when other movies that he was making started to get some money, he decided to go ahead with this and made it for a few $100,000, and it made like millions. The artwork of the ghoulie coming out of the toilet grabbed so much attention that it became kind of like a really cool sleeper hit that summer or whatever it was. And it made like millions and millions and millions of dollars and allowed them to like expand their projects that they're working on. Because after this, they did Reanimator and From Beyond and Robot Jocks. Like it got them noticed. Like they were being taken seriously. And also this artwork scared a lot of kids. And I guess the first cut of the movie didn't even have anything like this happening with the ghoulie coming out of the toilet in it. So during the first test screenings, they were told, like, hey, we came because of that poster art. Where's the freaking ghoulie coming out of the toilet? So they shot something really quick and inserted it into the movie of a ghoulie popping out of the toilet for just no reason at all. It just is. But it's a really fun movie. It's about like it's essentially like a haunted house movie. A guy inherits the house from his father, who was like a warlock who was trying to commune with the devil. And like when he uses his magic, he can summon these little ghoulie things that do his bidding. And the son starts to get into it, and he invites his friends for a weekend party, and essentially wants to sacrifice them all to like the devil and all that kind of stuff. And it goes in like weird directions. It's PG-13. It is kind of gross, but it's really fun. It actually has Mariska Hargitay from Law and Order SVU. This is like one of the first movies she was ever in. She is like impossibly young. It's really fun. I like it a lot. That's why I bought it in 4K. They also re-released the second Ghoulies movie, which was made by Empire Pictures, but only on Blu-ray. And I'm kind of holding out on that because I have a feeling they're just going to double dip and release it in 4K anyway. Also upgraded my copy of Night of the Comet, which is an 80s movie that I have kind of a history with. So I've said it before a lot on the channel. I was not allowed to watch horror movies as a kid. My parents thought it would like break my brother and I like our brain. So we weren't allowed to watch horror movies, but R-rated action movies and R-rated science fiction movies were just fine. Like we could watch Terminator, we could watch all that kind of stuff. We could watch Rambo, we could watch Commando. Those were fine, but horror movies, no. So I can watch Commando where Arnold Schwarzenegger like throws a saw blade for like a table saw, like a frisbee at a guy, and it scalps him, and take a machete and hack a guy's arm off, and all that kind of stuff, and throw a guy into a broken table, and one of the broken legs of the table pops out of his chest, blood everywhere. That's fine, but I can't watch a Friday the 13th movie where a killer is actually going around and doing those exact same things. No, so wasn't really experienced with horror movies, and this came out like in 85, I want to say. 1984. Oh, geez. So I saw the trailer for it, and I thought it looked really cool. So I said to my dad, hey, can we go see that Night of the Comet movie? It looks really cool. And he's like, you're not going to like it. And this was PG-13. Okay, so it's a lot worse than what you would see in a regular PG-rated movie. But after they made that rating, the PG movies kind of scaled back on things. And what would normally be a PG movie before PG-13 came out is what PG-13 became. So like Jaws 1 probably would have been a PG-13 movie. Swamp Thing would have been a PG-13 movie. So this is kind of like in that vein. This is a little too much for what you would see in a PG-rated movie now. And my dad saw that in the trailer, and he's like, "You're not going to like it. It's going to scare the crap out of you, and you're going to want to get out of there." And I'm like, "No, I'm not." I'm like, "I'm an adult now," and I was like, "What? 1984? I was 9 years old." So I was like, "No, let's go see it." And my dad's like, "Okay, but I have a feeling the way this is going to go." So we went and saw Night of the Comet in the theater, and sure enough, about halfway through the movie, I got so scared. I looked at my dad. I'm like, "We have to go, like right now." Like right now. There was a scene where one of the characters. So what happens in the movie is there's a comet that passes over our planet every million years or whatever, and it's happening in 1984. It's passing over, and what it does is it kills everyone on the planet. If you're exposed, if you're behind lead, something that's lead lined, you're safe. But if you're exposed outside of that, it basically turns you to dust. If you're partially exposed, like if you're like in something that's lead lined, but the door was open or whatever, and the radiation that this comet is giving off can start to get through, you are eventually going to turn into dust, but you are basically like this bloodthirsty zombie that is rapidly deteriorating. And eventually you're going to end up dust, but you're looking for people to eat. So it's about these like two sisters who end up both surviving the comet, and they find a couple of other survivors here and there, but there's also these half zombie, half exposed people running around. One of the characters is like, I need to go back to my parents' house and see if they made it. I'll be back. So it's the guy who played Chakotay on Star Trek Voyager, who is in the movie, Robert Beltran. He's like, I need to go back to my parents' house and see if they lived. And he gets there, and sure enough, he sees the bed, and he sees like the dust of their bodies in the bed, and he's like, shit, my parents are dead. Great. And while he's there, he hears like a scratching on the front door. And I knew it was coming because there was already a previous zombie attack in the movie that scared the crap out of me that happened in an alley. And they actually show the zombie gnawing on like someone's like hip bone, chawing the meat off of it. And I was like, oh, like, no. But I stuck through that. But then now they have this steady build-up scene. This comic movie, it is really fun. It's funny, though. That's the thing. So he starts to hear this like scratching at the front door, and now we got this tension build-up scene, and I'm going, Dad, we got to go. I know it's coming, Dad. We got to go. no, you don't understand, Dad. We need to leave like right now. And he starts laughing. He's like, no, we paid to see this. We're going to make it. And I start going, Dad, like I started getting loud. I'm like, Dad, we have to go. And he's like, all right, fine. And sure enough, the guy goes to see what's at the front door. And there's a little kid zombie standing in the doorway, just like growling at him. And I went like, now. And he goes, fine. So my dad takes me out and he's kind of like mad, but still laughing like at the same time. So he's like, I told you this was going to happen. He was like mad. He was like, I told you this was going to happen, but just the way it happened made him laugh. And it was kind of funny. So he never finished it until it came out on home video. And then I was like, no, Chris, you're going to finish watching this movie. You're a big boy now. So I sat through it. And if I sat through that scene with that little kid zombie, I don't think I would have wanted to leave, because it turns into this really funny scene of this little kid zombie chasing this adult through this house, and he just keeps picking him up and throwing him across the room because it's a little kid. And it's funny. So yeah, there's about these two sisters that survive. One of them is a cheerleader, and one of them works at a movie theater, and she's like real cynical, and their dad used to be in the army, so they have like weapons at the house. And like, you know, when they realize that everybody's dead, they gather up all their dad's weapons and all that, and they're out in the street target practicing, and the cheerleader one has an Uzi in her hand and keeps locking up. She's like, or no, she had some sort of a submachine gun. I don't remember what it was, but it kept locking up, and she looks at her older sister. She goes, Daddy would have gotten us Uzis. You know, it's like if you were to take Valley Girl and mix it with a zombie movie, and it's really, really fun. I like it a lot. It's super cool. It's like a diamond in the rough. Like people know about it, but not enough people know about it. And it's super awesome. They've been talking about remaking it for like years, but it just never seems to happen. I don't have a whole lot to talk about tonight, and we're already at 41 minutes. I'm really spreading this out. Next upgrade is My Bloody Valentine, which is a Canadian slasher movie. Got remade in the late 2000s as My Bloody Valentine 3D, which is one of my favorite 3D movies. Probably some of the best 3D and like uses of 3D I've seen in a movie. When it comes to like things coming at your face and just like layering of things, it's pretty awesome. But this is the original, and this is the uncut version. It got censored heavily because, you know, everyone's trying to compete with Friday the 13th and like up their game. You know, they don't have awesome deaths in the early Friday the 13th movies, but all the other movies that were coming out trying to copy it were like trying to do more and be nastier and more graphic. Well, this one kind of went overboard a little bit in a couple of scenes. There's a girl that gets killed like in a public shower, and her head gets put through like the shower head, and the spigot pops out of her mouth, and there's like bloody water shooting out of her mouth. And I still don't know how they did that effect, because it is a live person hanging up there with this thing sticking out of their mouth, shooting all this bloody water out. And I'm like, I still watch it. I'm like, I have no clue how they pulled that off, because it looks real. But essentially, it's like a Canadian mining town during Valentine's Day. There's a killer going around killing everybody and like leaving hearts everywhere, like cutting people's hearts out and leaving them everywhere. It's really fun. It's really graphic, especially the uncut version. I like this one a lot. It's one of my favorite slashers that like nobody seemed to talk about for a long time until the remake came out. Then everybody was like, ooh, the original, ooh. Everybody jumped on that bandwagon. Also had to upgrade this, and this is the Steelbook edition. One of my favorite movies from the 80s. This is like one of our family favorites. We used to watch this all the time, and that is The Last Dragon. If you've never seen this, get off your butt and do it. This was not directed by, it was produced by Barry Gordy, who was a record producer. He did like Motown records and stuff. He decided to get in the movie game. I don't think this made a whole lot of money in the theater, but it made a lot of money on video. And what it is a martial arts movie in Harlem. So you have this dude right here, Bruce Leroy, everybody calls him. His name's Leroy, but everyone calls him Bruce Leroy because he's like a kung fu master, who falls in love with a VJ, I guess. There's like a club called Seventh Heaven, and like their star is Vanity up here. She used to work with Prince. And they put her on TV and all that kind of stuff. And she hosts like a live show from this club that they broadcast on television. And they show music videos and stuff. And they like show DeBarge music videos and all these other bands of the time and all that. And then there's this dude who's the villain named Eddie Arcadian, who is like this slimy businessman who wants his girlfriend, who is trying to be a musician, but she's absolutely terrible. He wants her music videos to get put on Vanity's show, and Vanity's like, no, they're terrible, I'm not showing it. So he's constantly putting like gangster pressure on her to do it, and Bruce Leroy steps in to stop it, and it's really fun. The love story is actually kind of sweet, I guess. It has a lot of really cool action set to a lot of cool songs from the 80s. I really, really like it. And it's funny. It is beyond funny. Kind of culturally insensitive in a couple of spots when it comes to Asians. But outside of that, it is like super funny. It's one of my favorite movies of the 80s. I watch this all the time. And if I take the discs out, it has like a scene from the movie of the other villain kicking Bruce Leroy in the face. The villain is Shonuff, the Shogun of Harlem, who is like a gangster who has studied kung fu. And he, since he hears so much about the legendary Bruce Leroy, he wants to beat his ass. And then Eddie Arcadian hires him to take him out at the end because the kid is getting in the way of his girlfriend's music career. It's a lot of fun. I like it a lot. Here are the ones that are new to me. Oh, no, I take that back. These are also upgrades from my Blu-rays, but these are those special edition ones that I went to Best Buy specifically to get. So Best Buy, when it comes to movies that are released by Lionsgate, gets like these like Best Buy exclusive Steelbook editions. And I've shown them off before. The Universal Soldier, oh God, what else? Angel Heart, Cabin in the Woods. I have like 8 of them or whatever. And the thing is, like the slipcover that goes over the Steelbook is made out of clear plastic. That usually has some sort of an image on it. And if you take the slipcover off, it changes what the image is underneath. So I'll start with this. So I upgraded my copy of Crank, which is the Jason Statham, Amy Smart movie where Jason Statham pretends to be a video game engineer or programmer. But in reality, he's a hitman. That's just his cover. And one of his enemies like poisons him. And if his heart rate ever slows down beneath a certain amount of beats per minute, he's just going to die. So the whole movie is him trying to keep his heart rate up so he won't die before he can get his revenge on the person who killed him. And like that's like, you know, injecting himself with adrenaline. And that's one of the funniest scenes in the movie when he's in the hospital and he injects himself with all the adrenaline. And then you see him start running around like Wile E. Coyote. He ends up like banging his girlfriend in public, Amy Smart, which gives him like this rush and keeps his heart rate up. It is super funny. And the action is fun. It's like watching a live action video game. And I saw this in the theater opening weekend. I absolutely loved it. I don't think the sequel is nearly as good as this one, but this is pretty awesome. It's a great short little action movie. And the cool thing is, like I said, so the front image here is Jason Statham, and you can kind of see some like stuff moving behind him. But if you take the cover off, it's like his like skeleton underneath, and you can see the needles injecting into his heart. It's like this X-ray image. That is pretty freaking cool. You put it back on, and he covers up the skeleton, but you still have the background visible. I love these special editions that Best Buy gets, and you can only get them there. Only reason I went back there was to get this. And then the other one I picked up is Ender's Game, which is based on a book by Orson Scott Card, who is a terrible, terrible human being. And I didn't see this in the theater. Why would you release like a big $200 million science fiction epic in like October? This is a summer movie or a November Christmas time movie. And there's no wonder why it bombed in the theater, because nobody's going to pay this. Like, that's not the time. October, people want to watch horror movies. So pretty awesome. I've seen parts of Hardcore Henry. I remember I was streaming on Netflix and I started watching it, but it was like really late at night and I fell asleep and I just never went back to finish it. I need to. But I really liked it because it was in that first person view. I thought that was really kind of cool and creative how they were able to do that, but I need to finish watching it. So it's like the human race is at war with like these insectoid aliens, and we've lost every single battle we've ever had with them. So the military starts to collect super intelligent children to try to figure out alternative ways to beat the enemy. And Ender, who's this kid on the cover, turns out to be the one that can do it. And it's all about like him going through his training in the military to like figuring out the way his strategies are going to work, and then eventually ending the war. And it has a real, like, I knew the ending before I saw the movie, so I knew how the big twist. And the twist is kind of like, what? It's pretty awesome. Harrison Ford is in it. Ben Kingsley. I can't remember who else. It's really, the back of this is really dark. But anyway, so on the cover here, you have Ender in his zero-G training spacesuit. But if you take the cover off, it's just Ender with all the ships in the battle fleet that he commands and the planet where they find the queen, I think it is, or like the mother brain thing. And you can kind of see the cavern here from the movie on the back. It's a pretty decent movie. I really like the soundtrack by Steve Jablonsky. I really think it's a great theme. The one movie that I bought that I've never actually seen before is a big summer movie that I saw the first movie in this series when it first came out a few years back before COVID. I think it was 2018 or 2019. I really liked it, and I just could never seem to get away. It's a great novel as well. Yeah, I've read it. It's just I don't like the author. I think he's a terrible human being. And there's a lot of sequels to it, too. There's like 8 books in that series that go all over the map. There's a bunch of them that deal with Ender. There's one that's about one of the kids that was training with Ender. They call it Ender's Shadow. There's this kid who like idolized Ender, and it's like everything from this kid's point of view. And there's a couple of other books that have to deal with other characters within the universe. I've never gotten around to reading those. I own a few of them, but I've only read Ender's Game. Yeah, but I kept on trying to go out and see this movie, and I just could never seem to get away to do it. And by the time I did have time to go see it, it was gone. But I bought it anyway because I absolutely love the first one. I know I'm going to love this one too, and that is Spider-Man Across the SpiderVerse. I really loved the Into the SpiderVerse, the first film, so much that I say it's probably my favorite Spider-Man movie ever made. So naturally, I just bought this because when it was coming out, I saw it was coming out on 4K. I pre-ordered it, and still haven't watched it though. Even though I own a copy of it, I still can't seem to find the time to sit down and watch it. Maybe I'll do that tonight after the stream or play some more Cyberpunk. I don't know. But yeah, this continues the storyline. It picks up, from what I understand, right where the first movie left off and keeps on going and running with the whole multiverse, Spider-Verse thing from the first movie. And from what I also understand, it ends in a cliffhanger that's going to lead into a third and final movie, which they claimed was going to be coming out in April 2024, but they haven't even started working on it yet, especially now with the writers and actors strike. Yeah, that's not coming out for another like 3 years. Yeah, you guys don't bite off more than you can chew. So I need to sit down and watch it. It looks fantastic. Everyone I know that has seen it has said it is fantastic, so I'll watch it eventually. And now we can get into Das Video Games. So we'll start off with the PS4 games. The only one that I didn't pick up a whole lot this month at all. I didn't really go out of my way to do any game shopping, like I said at the top. But if I saw something, excuse me, I'm still suffering from that really bad flu that I had at the end of August. I still have a cough. If I would see something on a discount on Amazon, I would usually buy it. So Amazon had a sale. I saw that Pete Dorr had posted a video on YouTube saying there is a buy one, get one. Was it a buy one or buy two, get one? No, buy one, get one. Or like, it could be looked at buy one, get one free, or buy 2 games for the price. I think it was buy 2 games for the price of 1 sale. So I went there and I picked up a couple of things. I ended up doing it twice. So I got 4 games total from this sale. One of them is Manhunter, the Apex edition. This is the complete edition of Manhunter. So I had this game originally on the Xbox One. And the first game I've ever platinumed, I didn't, well, on the Xbox, it's not called a platinum, but I like 100% completed the game. A real A-hat. Aw, PETA. It's cool. It's cool, bro. Yeah, I 100. The first game I've ever 100% completed. I did all of the. I got all the achievements in this on the Xbox. Wasn't that hard. You just have to explore a little bit, and you'll find all the stuff. It's not that hard. The only thing I had problems with was like I couldn't figure out what the last thing I needed to do was, and it turned out that I had to like bat these explosive barrels with my tail and throw them at some people on a bridge to open up a bridge, and that was it. But I didn't realize that there was going to be DLC, and they released this Apex pack that adds another mission to the game and some extra stuff, and I think another shark type and or armor type. and maybe some extra powers. And I was like, I'm not buying that. I'm like, no. And then I see that this is on that sale on Amazon, so I picked it up as the complete edition. So it's the core game plus all the DLC on the disc. And it is a super fun game where you're playing as this shark whose mother gets killed by a poacher for a reality TV show. And like the baby shark slips out of the mother when he's killing it, and the shark vows revenge against the poacher that killed its mother. And you basically evolve the shark. It starts off as like a baby, and you evolve it to basically a megalodon. And you get like you can like grow armor and all that kind of stuff. So I ended up going with the bone armor. There's like 4 or 5 different types of armor, if I remember right, because I played this like back in 2020. I give it the bone armor because it gives you more, not health, but more shielding, and you can hit things harder if you do like the ramming function as one of your attacks. It is super fun, and it has a goofy ass ending. I don't know how they could do anything with a DLC extra, since your character basically dies at the end. But I want to find out. So I picked that up for dirt cheap off that sale. And the other game I got with that was Forspoken on the PS5. This was like one of the big games being hyped up for this console when it was first released. And it finally came out and nobody bought it. It ended up being a huge bomb. From what I understand, it's like not programmed very well. And the gameplay isn't all that well implemented and all that. So like nobody bought it. So it's already heavily discounted. Do you jump the shark? You jump the shark multiple times. I actually flopped my shark around on land to eat a certain amount of people at a dinner party. It is super fun. It is not taken seriously. It is goofy as all hell. You end up fighting like, Shamu. There's like a killer whale that's out to get you, big crocodiles. It's really fun. I like it a lot. I will definitely play through it again. But I didn't hear a lot of good things about it. The reviews when it came out were pretty bad, so I didn't pick it up. I was like, I'll just wait till it gets discounted, and it turns out that this was part of that sale. So I basically bought Forspoken for $29.99 or something, and then I got this for free, which was $20. So I'll play it eventually. It's a huge loss for Square Enix. That's one of the reasons why they said that they lost. Square Enix said that they lost like $500 million or something like that, or an obscene amount of money right at like not too long after Final Fantasy 16 came out. And it wasn't because of Final Fantasy 16. That ended up being a huge hit, but it was all the other games that they have released this year have been bombs. And the first hit was Final Fantasy 16. And one of the reasons they're financially in trouble is because of this. So, whatever. And then the other 2 games I bought in that sale, one of them was Aliens Dark Descent. I've been trying to get my hands on this for a while because I love Aliens, the Alien franchise in general. And this one is a real-time strategy game, I do believe, like XCOM, which is a nice change-up. We've had first-person shooters. We've had survival horror games. We've had, like tactical games. This one is like an XCOM game, which is pretty awesome. I'm really excited to sit down and play through this. I think you can play it multiplayer online, I do believe. No, it's single player only, which sucks. That would have been really cool to play this co-op. But I love XCOM, so I really immediately took to this. It got decent reviews, so I didn't buy it right off the bat. I was like, also, I'll wait for a discount, and it was it was included in this sale on Amazon, so I picked it up, and I cannot wait to sit down and play it. And the last game I got from that sale is this Day 1 edition of No More Heroes on the PlayStation 5. And it comes in this big-ass box. No, I'm still suffering from that flu I had last month on my birthday. Every time I get sick, like really sick, for some reason, I don't know if it's a thing with me, but like I have a cough left over for like a month. So I'm still coughing from it. It eventually will go away. But every time I get sick, this is what happens. So what comes in the Day 1 edition, excuse me, other than the game, which is right here, more of Travis Touchdown and his fluorescent light bulb lightsaber. It's actually, this is 3D beat 'em up. I think these are Suda. Are these Suda 51? I think these are Suda 51 games. But I've played the first one on the Wii, and it's super fun, and I can't wait to go through the other 2, but I still haven't done that yet. But what comes with it? It also comes with the original soundtrack, which makes it look like Akira's poster artwork, which is awesome. Doesn't tell you how many tracks there are. The back is completely blank. And it also comes with this art book, The Art of No More Heroes 3, which is pretty rad. And this like miniature license plate for like a motorcycle. Santa Destroy Mo No More Heroes 3 license plate, which is pretty cool. I like it a lot. I need to sit down and play through the rest of the games in this series, because this one looked really cool. There's even one on the Switch that's like a mini game sort of compilation or something. So I was thrilled to get that, and that was the last game I got from that sale. No, like I said, it's just left over from whenever I get like really, really sick. I always have a cough for like a month. It's a lot better than it used to be, though. The rest of the games are from limited run pre-orders from like a year ago. Finally, they started showing up, but this one is the only game that I didn't buy in any kind of a sale or a pre-order. I actually bought this on Friday on Amazon, and it showed up yesterday. And that is the sequel to Daymare 1994? Daymare 1994, but this is Sandcastle, the sequel. It's a Resident Evil 2 remake knockoff. And the thing is, like, it was made just to capitalize on the hype of the Resident Evil 2 remake. And it didn't have the greatest graphics, didn't have the greatest play style or anything like that, or story. It was really, really super cheesy and kind of short. But its heart was in the right place, and people really seemed to embrace it to the fact that, or to the point where people demanded a sequel. And we got that. So super stoked that they were so successful that they were able to make a sequel, even though the artwork on the back does not show much. It is super dark. But it's more of the same from what I understand. More Resident Evil 2 knockoff goodness that is not quite quality of the Resident Evil 2 remake, but enough to get by and actually be fun. So really excited to sit down and play that. And then I have these games that I got from Limited Run that finally showed up after almost a year of being in limbo. And I'm really like sick of Limited Run and their bullshit. It's like, dude, they used to put their games up for sale because they had them in stock. I'd buy like, they'd have like the little, we're only going to have those 2 little sell-through time periods on a Friday. But they had the games in hand, and if you bought them, you got them like the next week. Well, now it's like you're waiting months because of these pre-order things they do. They don't even actually have the games like in the manufacturing process yet. It's still just kind of in the planning phase, and they're putting them up for sale, and you get them when you get them, which is kind of BS. I hate it. But they released this Game Boy Color game that I guess was digital at some point. It wasn't a game that was released on the Game Boy Color originally, so this is not a reproduction. Well, it is a reproduction, but not of an existing game. This is a brand new game for the Game Boy Color that was released digitally, and then they put it on a cartridge, and that is Hime's Quest. You can see it's something that has to do with Crunchyroll. So it's a top-down adventure game, kind of like Legend of Zelda or Star Tropics, that is like a brand spanking new game for the Game Boy Color, which is kind of awesome. I saw this up for sale on their website, and I was like, I don't know what the hell that is. If it's based on something that's being shown on Crunchyroll, I've never used the Crunchyroll streaming service, so I don't know if this is based on an anime or something. I can't talk. I'm trying to hold in a cough. I don't know if this is based on an anime or anything, but I didn't care. I was like, a brand new Game Boy Color game? Give it to me. Give it to me now. So I pre-ordered it, and it finally showed up. I can't read the writing on it because it is too dark in here. And then I have a bunch of a couple of PlayStation 4 games. One of them is from Konami, and it is this Anniversary Collection Arcade Classics. So they've been releasing anniversary collections of the Contra games and the Castlevania games. There's a new one that just was out for pre-order based on that has all of the Game Boy Advance / Game Boy Nintendo DS Metroidvania Castlevania games on it, which I did not pre-order because that's just going to be available for sale on Amazon when it gets released. I'll just get it there. So they released a bunch of arcade games in a compilation, which has the original Life Force, or Salamander as it was known in Japan, Typhoon, or Ajax is its alternate title, Nemesis, or Gradius side story thing, Vulcan Venture, also known as Gradius 2, Haunted Castle, Twin Bee, Scramble, and Thunder Cross, which is pretty awesome. I love Salamander / Life Force. It was one of my favorite NES shmups, one of the few that I actually enjoyed back in the day. But once I played like the original versions of the game, like I played the one on the TurboGrafx 16, or sorry, the PC engine, it never came out over here on the TurboGrafx, and I played the PC engine game, I was like, wow, this is way better than we got on the NES. There's no slowdown. And then I played the actual arcade version on the Saturn, and I was like, oh my God, like this is amazing. And now I have like this compilation with all that kind of stuff on it. So it's pretty awesome. So I pre-ordered that one. You have no clue how quickly I clicked on that when it went up for sale. The only game you've ever played on a Game Boy Color was A Bug's Life. I do not have that. I do have it on the PlayStation 1, though. So this one I was worried about because I read that I was like halfway through. So I pre-ordered it. I played this back in the day. This is a PC game port. One of the few games I actually bought on the PC was this because I'm a huge fan of the license that this is based on. So this is a licensed game. I didn't beat it, but I played enough of it to go like, this is pretty awesome. And then when I saw that it was going to be available on the PlayStation 4, digitally only though, which kind of sucked, I was like, I'll eventually play that. And then I saw that Limited Run was going to release a physical version of it, and I was like, cool. Pre-ordered it. Halfway between when I pre-ordered it to when it was delivered to me, I read somewhere that the version of the game that was being put on the disc is like broken. There was like some sort of a glitch in it that makes it so you can't beat the game. I don't know if that version is still what's on here or not, or if it got fixed between then and now. But I'm going to contact Limited Run and be like, did you send me a broken game? Did you send everybody a broken game? And if not, I want my money back. Because if I can't play it, what's the point of having it? And that is the Blade Runner Enhanced Edition. So you're not really playing through the events of the movie. You're not even playing as Deckard from the movie. You're playing as a brand new Blade Runner character, and it's just another adventure in the Blade Runner universe for one of these policemen that hunts down simulants, or like, artificial people. And you do all the things that happen in the movie. You actually can do that whole photo enhancement thing from the film where you like insert a photo in a computer and you can like zoom in to areas of the photo and enhance how it looks and change the perspective a little bit. And it's also like a point and click adventure kind of thing. And there's also, you'll go into like a room and you can click on things to investigate. There's like conversation trees and all that. It's kind of like playing Shadowrun. But I really liked it. It really felt like I was in the Blade Runner universe, which I absolutely love. I love the two Blade Runner films, and it's cyberpunk AF, and I love cyberpunk, so had to have it. But I want to find out if I should even open this or just send it back to them and say, like, give me my money back because this thing is not going to work. So I'm probably going to send an email to them tomorrow and find out what's going on. And also got this for the PS5. This is American Hero. And this is a full motion video game, kind of like what you would see on the Sega CD or the 3DO or the PS1. A modern day a modern day full motion video game, I do believe. I don't think this is from back in the day. Oh, it is. It is one. Okay. It was never released. That's the reason. Okay, so it says on the back, the most outrageous FMV game never released. So it says, Jack is back, a restoration and remaster of a game lost to time for over 25 years. American Hero is an outrageous and unforgettable FMV game that lets you play as Jack, the star, in an over-the-top 1980s Hollywood action movie featuring an explosive Hollywood production with insane action and gut-busting laughs, a winding player-directed plot with multiple paths and endings, and actor Timothy Bottoms returns as Jack with newly recorded voiceovers. That is pretty awesome. I did not realize that this was a game that never got released. I thought this was a brand new game. But then I'm looking at the cover and I'm like, I know that's Timothy Bottoms and he's probably in his like 60s by now, but he doesn't look like he's in his 60s. What's up with that? Turns out this is a game that was probably going to be released in the late 90s or whatever, but never did. That's pretty cool. So super happy to have that, or have this, because I love full motion video games. I think they're like super goofy and silly and dumb, but they're a lot of fun. That's the same game. That is the same game. It's just been enhanced for the consoles game room. But from what I understand, it is like broken. So if I find out anything, I'll post about it somewhere maybe on social media. And the last game I'm going to talk about here is the last game I got from Limited Run this month, and this is a Switch game, and that is the Neo Geo Pocket Color Selection Volume 2. So I have no plans to collect anything Neo Geo Pocket or Pocket Color. They're super expensive, although the games look fascinating and fun. I'm not going to spend that kind of money. I don't feel like collecting for another console. I mean, I collect for so many already. I don't need to do it for another, especially one that's pricey. So this is the next best thing. You get like a bunch of games that normally are like over $100 each, most likely more, complete in the box, which is how I collect these things, in one collection. So you get like 10 games, although I cannot read them for the life of me because they are so tiny. Looks like there's a Baseball Stars game. There's like a Fatal Fury and an Art of Heroes. I cannot read it. They're so small. But there are the 10 games that are available on this one. I have the first volume as well. So if this is the only way I'm going to be able to play Neo Geo Pocket Color games, so be it. I have no problem with that. I look forward to it. When did you order that Limited Run game? Which one? Which one, PETA? Talk to me, PETA. Tell me something. You're talking Blade Runner, American Hero, Neo Geo Pocket, the arcade collection, the Switch one. Oh, well, I can look it up and let you know. If I only had a device that lets me know things, or lets me find things I want to know about. Let me see. There was something with Mega Man in this one also. He's right on the cover. You can also see what looks like Ryu, which is pretty cool. Yeah, right now they have a Gargoyles remastered and a Jurassic Park games remastered collection. I don't know if I'm going to get the Jurassic Park one, but I might buy the Gargoyles one. Definitely want the Plumbers Wear Ties. There's another sort of full motion video game I want to get from them. But let's look at my account and see when I ordered this. No, I'm not a robot. Leave me alone. God, I have like how many more? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more orders that have yet to ship. And the last one I ordered was in February of this year. I haven't ordered anything since then. So this is all from I have one from May 2022 that still hasn't shipped. So it's been over a year since I ordered that. You a-holes. Let me see. That one, no. River City Girls, no. No. Dramatic Edition, no. Castlevania, no. Blood Rain, Double Dragon. Where did I order this one? It must have been a long time ago. Blood Rain, no. Video Game Nerd, no. Castlevania Requiem, no. No. Blade Runner and American Hero. I ordered this in December of 2022. December 11th, 2022. I ordered this and the Arcade Classics, Konami Arcade Classics and the Hime's Quest at the same time. Yep, it's been quite a while. Yeah, this. Yeah, it's like I said, it takes forever for these things to show up, and it is really getting on my nerves. And now I have one that's been like sitting there since like I ordered in May of 2022. It's the one that has Rendering Ranger for the Super Nintendo in it, and they've been having like production problems with it, and I just got an update for it like this past week, I do believe. Ugh, such a piece of crap. That's pretty good for yeah, but still, like, I don't want to wait. Like, give me my goddamn games. Like, I don't understand. So anyway, that's it for this stream. I managed to talk for an hour and 15 minutes with like not a lot of stuff to talk about. Like I said, this was not a month where I went out of my way to find things. That was August. That was the birthday month. This month was the one where I kind of took it easy a little bit. But I got disappointed more often than not. Thanks, Amazon. You suck. Anyway, I should have released a short today, shouldn't I? Crap. I totally forgot. It's been a weird day. It's been a weird weekend. Maybe I'll release it right after I get off the stream. I'll release a new short. I'll be back later tonight. I'll release a short right after the stream ends. And also, I will be back on Tuesday with a new short. And so Tuesday, new short. Thursday, part 2 of my Video Game Collection 2023 live streams that deals with my Nintendo Wii collection, followed by another short on Friday. And then on my Twitch channel on Saturday is the next episode of Tides of Flame, my Dungeons & Dragons campaign that I'm doing with Mundane Designs and the Game Grinder and a bunch of my other friends. So go and check that out. Go and check out my Twitch channel. It's twitch.tv/statblock20, all one word. And you can watch us stream that live on Saturday, probably mid-afternoon. It'll start. I'll get back to everybody with the times on social media once we work out what time we want to start that day. So check that out, and then I'll be back with another short that Sunday. So thank you, everybody, for coming and hanging out with me tonight. This was a lot of fun. I normally would have done this last night, but last night I was out with a bunch of friends, kind of like the post-birthday hangout. That was the first time we were all available to get together. And like I said, I got that awesome Tron thing for my birthday from my friends and some other goodies. So I wasn't able to do it last night. Normally I would do it on the final day of the month, but like I said, I was not available, so I did it tonight instead. Yay! So I'll see you at the end of the month for the next recent pickups live stream. Hopefully I'll have more to talk about. I already have a bunch of stuff on the way, so we'll see how that goes. So I'll talk to you all later. Have a good evening. Stay safe out there. Have a good week, everybody. Chris from Midlife Crisis out.